Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be again working on Project Daly's motor. That's going to be the usual for a while. But we have electricity today. Imagine that. So last time I left you guys, last video, we lost electricity and I kind of just gave up because it's kind of hard to work with no lights in here and it was a blizzard outside, so couldn't have even opened the door. But today I'm trying to think of exactly what I want to do, but I know there's a couple things I want to do for sure. So I think we're going to work on the harness. This is the whole harness for the engine, which is actually surprising how little it is, thinking of all the electronics it has, but that is awesome. So what I'll be doing, I'm thinking, is I'm going to be taking this black tape off this covering, leave the covering on because it's just another layer of protection, and then rewrapping it with black tape. I'm not sure if I want to rewrap it today because, as I said, I'm getting some new gauges, some really nice gauges. You guys won't know exactly what they are until they show up. But those are going to have senders, right? So if I can rewrap those senders in the stock harness, that'd be awesome. So I can actually go, or not even wrap them, just put some black tape on them, and then putting it on this harness. So all my electricals together, then I can tuck it away and then you won't see it. So we'll end up at least scrubbing this down and getting off all the old black tape, and then I'll decide what I want to do there. But we'll also be cleaning up this guy, the intake manifold. I just got it sitting on the old TGVs because, well, we don't need those anymore because we got those guys. So these are just sitting here and I'm going to clean this up. I thought I had a throttle body gasket. I don't know where it went. It was in this little red toolbox right here, but it's just vanished. So we might not take that off because, well, this gasket's sitting fine. And then we're going to be dealing with this guy. So this is a coolant tank. A lot of you guys know, if you drive Subarus, that this sits on top of this. There's actually the whole little bucket, I guess. It sits on top and it sits right about there. Well, so Subaru, this is what Subaru did. They painted these. And I didn't have this issue, but if you look, this is, I haven't touched this yet, the inside, and there's paint on there. So that paint, actually what happens is it clogs up your coolant system and then causes overheating. So I was essentially, the paint was peeling on the other side, so I just ended up kind of sanding it off and leaving it. But I will be painting this black, but I'm going to be leaving the inside of it raw. I guess this would be steel, raw steel, because, well, your coolant has additives to prevent rust, so that's all good. But I will be, you can kind of see the grooves where the seal sits, so I'll be painting the outside and then leaving this, but I also got to remove the old stuff. So we'll probably maybe be doing that today, and then that's about it. I might try with this guy. You guys didn't see this in the last video because, well, the electricity went out, but I was trying to take out these studs because, well, you know, exhaust studs on these cars are just horrible, especially when they've been sitting there in rust for the last, like, 14 years, so it's a little bit of pain, but I've been using propane torch and they've been coming along. So I will grab some stuff for working on that harness, and then we'll jump on that harness first, I think. So all I'm going to be using to clean this is some pliers to take off these zip ties. So I want to make sure these remain in the same place. So I'm going to remove them and then just move the harness over. Some fantastic and a scrub brush. Because honestly this harness is just a bit dusty, so it shouldn't be too bad. So let's get to it. There we have the harness, the black tape. Actually, a lot of it I could like just twist it and it would crack off because, well, it's black tape from when the car was manufactured. What I did is I took off like the outer layer because the inner layer of black tape is actually pretty good, and then I just got to clean all of this stuff before we put another layer of black tape on. But yeah, there you go. The whole harness is unwrapped. So as you can see, yeah, some of the wires are actually showing just because they didn't wrap it very well. Well, like this section had like 8 layers of black tape and took forever, as you guys probably saw in the time lapse. I was struggling a bit there, but there we go. And then these are just like the mounting places for the underside of the intake manifold. But so that this is the harness. That's all the Japanese black tape from when this car was manufactured. And listen to this. It's crunchy just because of how old it is. It wasn't very protective, so glad to get this off and put on some new stuff just so it's a little bit better. But yeah, I could literally just like twist these guys and the black tape would fall off because it's so bad. But yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean the harness like that. There we go. So the whole harness is now clean. Look how much better it looks, guys. Like, this connector was like black. It's still got a little bit of grime on it, but it's so much better. Actually, yeah, look at that. There's like barely anything. I might have to redo that side. But the whole connector just looks, or whole harness looks amazing. I'm gonna let this dry off and decide if I want to rewrap it tonight or not. Just because there is some probably fantastic in these like grooves and stuff. So it's probably a good idea just to let it dry off sitting on the floor here. This is a heated garage floor, so it will dry off pretty quickly. But the next thing is that guy. So what I'm gonna do is pretty much the same thing with some fantastic and a toothbrush, and then just go along cleaning this all up. I was debating whether repainting this or not, but I don't think I am, just because it's not too bad. It's got some chips and stuff, but maybe when we rotate this, we'll paint it black or something. So this is what it looks like before we clean it up. So a lot of dirt here, there, and everywhere. And there we go after it's been cleaned. So this thing probably could use a full-on paint, as I was saying. There's some paint missing here, and it just didn't come clean. But it's funny because I was just using Fantastic. Fantastic is not a very harsh cleaner. There's like red, or there was red, till I cleaned the bottom of it. The bottom is pretty grimy. But overall, it looks much better than it did before, so I'm gonna put it in. To paint this, it'd be a lot of work, so like removing all this and then taping it up and probably sandblasting it, then painting it. So that's a fair bit of work that I'm probably not gonna do. So I was thinking about wrapping this, but I think I'm gonna leave it for another day, just because I want all the moisture out of it before I start wrapping it with black tape again. So I'll leave it on the floor for the night and then probably get back to it later. But guess what we're doing? Got a respirator on, what do you think? We're going to be painting. So what we're going to be painting is the good old coolant tank. So this guy's silver on the car, but I want it black. So that's what we're going to be doing. So I have this guy. I need to just rinse it with some lacquer thinner or wipe it all down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape up the whole top layer with tape because we don't want any paint on here. And then we're going to paint this. We're actually going to paint like all this, and then we're going to paint the bottom and side too. We're going to tape off this area. But we're going to paint, like, not try to get paint, but there's going to be overspray. And then we're just going to take paint thinner or paint lacquer thinner and just wipe it all down the edge where we don't want it. So the whole inside of the tank is going to be raw metal and then up to the edge. So we still get a black coverage, but we don't get it all the way in the tank. And then there's going to be a little bit here and there. So I have this little bracket right here. This guy's going to be painted, and then I have a hose that's been sitting in rust check or rust stuff all night, so that will also be painted. And then nuts and bolts and, you know, the usual. But since it's actually warmed up a little bit today, you know what we're going to do is we're going to go paint back outside. Because painting inside is horrible, especially in this. It gets way too strong. And like, I was wearing this for a couple hours last video just so I wasn't getting paint greens all over. But anyways, we're going to set up some cardboard. It's a little bit cool, but I'm going to leave it in the sun, so we should be good. So I just took some lacquer thinner and wiped up everything that I wanted to paint. So what we have painting today, we got some more bolts down there. I just sprayed my first coat. I got all these little clamps that are actually for those guys, right? No, those guys over there. They go on the bolts or parts we put on yesterday. Oh no. These guys, these nice clean ones, I gotta clean up all the hoses eventually. That's why they're all sitting in that pile right over there. And then there's a couple down here. Gotta clean those all up. A lot of these clamps actually look good, but I don't know what I'm gonna do with these clamps, because if we take a look, actually these ones are good. These just need a clean with Fantastic. Some of them are rusting though, so I put them in rust stuff. And it turns out they're actually just like iron, they're not aluminum or anything. So the issue is, they're gonna rust, so that's why I'm painting these guys. Hopefully we'll see how they work and see if the paint even sticks to them. I don't even know. And we got a couple brackets. Oops, I gotta put some tape in there. And then finally we have the coolant tank. But you guys seen me paint everything, so I will just quickly be right back and we should have everything painted. It's still not that warm out, so I had to paint in here again. it was getting too cold for especially the coolant tank and stuff. But I did get these painted outside before I had to close the door, so all the little like clamps are now painted. And then a couple of little brackets that needed to be painted, and then some more nuts have been painted. I did really good on those. I gotta give myself a pat on the back for those. But I also went through, cleaned these hoses. These hoses have all been cleaned in fantastic in dish soap. So when we put them on the car, they're nice and clean. And I just want to clean up everything before you put it back on, because why not? It's off the car, it makes it a lot easier. And then this guy. So this guy is not working the way I want it to. So because it was so cold, you get this like bubbly thing when you're painting. And I waited a bit in here. I let it sit for about half an hour in here to warm back up before I put the second coat on. Still did the same thing, so I don't know what we're going to do. Hopefully, I'm going to leave those for tonight and see how well they come out. They are black, which is good. That's what I wanted. I just don't know if they're going to be good enough to put on the car, or I might have to redo it. We'll have to see. I also cleaned up some more hoses. So all the hoses laying here, they've been cleaned up. This one doesn't look... Some of these have just permanent stains that I can't get out, but they're still cleaner than they were before, so that's all that really matters. Because a lot of them are going to be gone because we are deleting evap. I don't need every single one, so I just cleaned them all, and then we'll see which ones we need here and there. Then there's this guy. So the harness that we started with today, we're going to leave that because I said I just want to let it dry out just before we wrap it, so that will be next video is wrapping that guy. Hopefully assembling that and then doing some more stuff. Who knows, probably putting some more stuff on the block itself. But that is going to be it for today, guys. So peace out and stay humble.